Hi, my name is Diamond. I live in the US and I want to introduce you to Pastoral Care and Leadership Institute, whose vision is to equip Christians with sound biblical truth at the comfort of their homes. As you join Pastoral Care course, you will learn how to study the Bible and draw contextual interpretations to God's Word, and your ability to communicate the gospel will be enhanced. I am inviting you to join the next online course. To register, please follow the link below or send us an email at pastoralcareleadership@gmail.com or send a message on WhatsApp. Thank you.
For the coordination. Thank you for coming to class. We're continuing with the foundations of communication. I believe we have learned some few things about communication. Communication is life. Communication is not just what is said, communication is what is heard. So we are going to be looking into some few topics today about communication. As a matter of fact, we'll talk about communication until the end of this school because it's called the school, the Masters in Communication. So we're going to be having so much to say about it. And I believe you and I will learn and unlearn and relearn and get better by the day. So I believe that when we had our breakout session the other time, we were trying to look at some few things about communication, which some of us actually are learning from it. We have understood that there is difference between hearing and listening. We understand that. So hearing is different. It's a passive process, while listening is an active process. And we have been able to define what listening basically is. So we also looked at the 5 basic reasons people do not listen. And it's because listening is a hard work. It's not something that is easy for everybody to do. It's not a natural ability for man. Probably that's why the Bible encourages believers to be slow to listen, to be slow to speak and quick to listen. We said there's so much competition. Everyone wants to be the one speaking. So few persons want to listen. So it's difficult. And sometimes they rush for action. They're doing. Everybody wants to do. Everybody wants to speak. Everyone has something to say. So it becomes difficult for you to truly listen when you want to always say something. The speed differences can also be a problem. When somebody is speaking too slow for you, it can hinder your listening desire. If someone is too fast, it can also hinder your listening desire. And lack of training. People are not trained to listen. They are often trained to talk. All right. So we talked about 4 types of listening. Majorly, we talked about the non-listener, the marginal listener, the evaluative listener, and the active listener. The non-listener is just a hearer, someone who hears and does not consider what he or she is hearing. The marginal listener is someone who is who listens in a straight line. When you start a topic, it wants you to continue on that topic. The moment you digress, the person is cut off. And the evaluative listener is that person who wants to consider what you are saying in detail. And the active listener is someone who really is concerned about what you are saying and want to just understand you first before he concludes. So we said that there are so many ways you can improve your listening, and which is how to improve your listening. We talked about that last time, and we said that you must learn to maintain eye contact. And as a marginal listener, you may not be able to maintain eye contact if you are not an active listener. So we have said that you need to learn how to maintain eye contact if you want to be active in your listening. Learn to face the speaker, the person speaking with you. Try to focus on the content and all of that, which we have discussed. And we said there are techniques. And if you want to listen, there are techniques which we looked at about paraphrase, summarize, and question. And we ended up with a breakout session the other time. And we came to the basics of communication, which we were able to define what communication is, that communication is a dynamic process, that communication is a process in which we convey our thoughts or feeling to someone. So it depends on what you want to convey, but there's always a thought. And we also said that communication is received based on the events or the stimuli or the temperament or the feeling of that person per time. And one of the ways that you help people understand you is to consider how you say what you say. We said how you say what you say plays an important role in communication. And we looked at different levels of communication, which is verbal, non-verbal, and symbolic. And we understand that verbal and non-verbal communication is one of the ways you convey the communication effectively. And when you use symbols, you also have to be sure of what kind of symbol you are using and how do people interpret the symbols. So we also look at effective communication, that for a communication to be effective, it means that people have to get the right information. The reason why we communicate is for people to get the right information. There are times you are inviting someone for a program or for an event. When you are done, you don't even mention location, you don't even mention the time. You said, okay, come on, we are inviting you for our women's program. It's going to be a powerful program. It's going to be a great program. I want to encourage you to come. Please ensure you come. Come where? When? There's no direction. There's no location. There's no time. All right. So people sometimes just talk without really considering the information they are giving. So we said when you communicate, there's an aspect of motivation. You must find a way to motivate your audience when you are speaking. Motivation doesn't mean you have to shout. There are different ways you can motivate people to listen to you and also focus on getting feedback. All right. And it's very important when you are conscious as a communicator on feedbacks. Feedbacks doesn't mean that they have to talk. You are looking at their facial expression. It's also a way of getting feedback. And we said the praise aspect has to do with people attesting to what you are saying. All right. We communicate to also give people to raise up their spirits, apart from motivating them, to encourage them and to give them hope. We said that what is said is what is heard and feedback. So when we talk about communication, it is what the people heard and the feedback they give to what they heard is what we consider as an effective communication. Okay, we talked about communication. Sometimes we emphasize so much on words. We want to use the right words. We want to pronounce the words effectively, which is okay. But words are just 7%. Words are only labels, and the listeners put their own interpretation on speakers' words. All right? If I say fool, now fool is a word uh, that anyone can interpret anyhow. If I say fool, it could mean Fool or Full. All right. So when I say fool, it's not carrying the right meaning. Like the other time we had a class, I was asking a question about precious. All right. Now, I precious is just the word. If I was concerned about understanding, I would have added the the first name or the surname of precious. So when you use words only, your communication is not as rich as it ought to be. Then 38% in according to research is the paralinguistic, the way in which something is said, the accent, tone, voice, modulation is important to the listener. So when you say, um, for example, let me use the Ghanaian pronunciation and intonation. All right, when you say, um, God, when you say God bless you, or let me use another word, maybe um, the word that I can use now that is quite different from the way Nigerians speak their English. Okay, is flash, flush, flash, flush. Nigerians will say flush. Ghanaians will say flash. All right. So when I'm speaking to Ghanaians and I use the word flush, I have confused them. What they will be thinking may be different from what I am thinking. So when I'm talking to Nigerians, when I say flash, and what I have in my mind is to flush the WC, they could be getting it wrongly. All right. So the tune is also very important in communication. So the way you pronounce things matters. It's also very crucial in how people understand what you are saying. So if you are speaking to an English person, all right, they want to hear the tenses. If you are speaking to an American, they want to also hear their tone. So what makes you an effective communicator is that you are able to speak to an American audience and they understand you clearly. You are able to speak to someone from UK in Britain and they hear you clearly. You are able to speak to someone from Ghana and they understand you clearly. You are able to speak to someone from the interior village in Nigeria and they hear you clearly. That's what makes you an effective communicator. So if when you speak, only Americans can understand you, you are not an effective communicator yet. This is what a lot of people fail to understand. We are trying to speak like an American. It doesn't mean you speak, you have their accent, doesn't mean that you can speak effectively. You say, yeah, what's up? That is not communication. That's not it. No, communication is that you must look at the paralinguistic, the language and the accent in which you are using. Is it something that is easily understandable to people who are not in your own sphere of influence? If your audience understand you, fine. So 55% is the body language. So what a speaker looks like while delivering a message affect the listener's understanding most. So you can see that communication is not just about the words you use, it's about how you release those words that will determine the understanding your audience will get. Then your body language, how you carry yourself, the charisma, all right, will determine how they will understand your message. For example, you can't be telling somebody there is fire on the mountain. All right, because when you say that, it's like you are singing a poem. But when you scream at the top of your voice and say, there is fire on the mountain, then the people understand that what you are saying is a serious matter. So it is not just the words, it is how you carry yourself. Now we're talking about types of body language. Remember that you are dealing with people. So people will always see your body language more than what you are saying. That is why we have this acronym of the first P for people. He said your posture and your gesture. Your posture and your gesture is very important. When you are speaking to people, how you stand or sit determines your credibility most times, determines your level of confidence. Number two, the eye contact. All right. When you have eye contact with your audience, oftentimes it shows that you are confident in what you are saying. It shows that what you are saying is not a lie. Then the O in P is orientation. It means how do you position yourself, which we have talked about last time. Presentation, how you deliver your message. Don't forget this. Your presentation matters. You may have a very quality information on your notes. You may have a good sermon on your notes, but how you present it, it's what matters. People are not going to start looking at your notes. You must ensure that your presentation is something that connects with your audience. Then the looks. Are your looks, appearance, dress important? Yes. You must understand that you need to dress according to your occasion. You must dress according to your presentation. You must dress to influence your acceptance and presentation. So your looks matters. Finally, your expressions of emotion. All right. Are you happy? Are you sad? Whatever information you are giving, is it something you want the people to feel sad about or something you want them to be excited about? So these things actually form the basis of your communication. So we talked about rapport last time, which I wouldn't want to spend so much time on. We said self-confidence, understand the person or the people you are talking to, be enthusiastic, make eye contact, be interested in your audience. And it's very crucial that we did some exercise last time on our breakout session. So tonight, I want us to look at some major things again about communication. First thing I want to say again is that communication cannot be effective if there is no mutual understanding. Mutual understanding is based on relationship. So if you want your communication to succeed, you must ensure you understand your audience. You must ensure that you know what your audience needs. You know, those people who are vying for political positions, they understand this. They don't give you a promise you don't need. They first make a research of your needs and they present your needs to you. So it makes the audience want to listen to them. So if you want to be an effective communicator, don't be too much in a rush or want to speak. Seek for understanding. The way you communicate with someone in the past determines how you relate with him in the future. It means that your communication is crucial. So if you have a fight with somebody, all right, in fight of words, it will affect how you connect with the person in the next meeting. So it means that you must be conscious of your communication with people. In 1 Corinthians 15:33, it says, "Be not deceived, evil communication corrupt or influences good manners." It means that if I say evil words to you, it's going to affect my communication with you. If I say pleasant words to you, it's going to affect my communication, either in the positive or in a negative light. So you must understand that the way you communicate is important. It's very crucial. That words are just 7% of communication. Someone defines communication this way, which I like. He said, communication is a process of creating understanding. Is a process of creating understanding. So everything we'll be doing in this course is to teach you how to help people understand what is in your heart. You have a vision. God is calling you into ministry. God has given you an assignment. Your job is to make people understand. Because until people understand, they will not stand with you. Until people understand, they will not support you. So understanding is created through involvement. It means that to be an effective communicator, you must find a way to involve your audience. You must find a way to connect with them. You must find a way to make them engage in your communication process. And involvement means what? Involvement implies sharing something in common, Having commonness is the basis for communication. So communication is not you speaking Queen's English to somebody who does not even understand English. So when we're talking about commonness now you are speaking to somebody who does not understand English, is from the French Francophone country. Now, if you want to communicate with such persons, you have to speak French, because the common ground you have could be what the person already knows. So if you go there and start speaking, now there are some communication I will make here, some of us will not understand. If I begin to speak in my own dialect, in my own vernacular, most of us will just be hearing, but you can't understand because there is no commonness. So what is common with us on this platform is English language. So if there is no commonness in your communication, then you are not communicating. So communication, he said, the slide says communism is the root word for communication. It implies sharing. So it means that if I want to communicate with you, I look for the things that you know, that I know, I can use that as a point of communication. Dimensions of communication. We talked about this, that verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Now, when we talk about verbal, it is not just the spoken, it can also be written. It could be a sign words. All right. It could be if I put an arrow in a hallway and the arrow is pointed somewhere, and underneath, then I write way to the office, to pastoral care office. Now, even though I'm not there, as you look at the arrow, I'm already communicating to you. So, but the non-verbal is an expression that you do not use words, that human being does not use words, like smiling, like frowning. Non-verbal is good, but it can misinform your audience about what you are saying. When you are angry and you are smiling, you are angry inside and you are smiling and telling somebody, I don't like what you are doing, the person will think you are joking. But if your facial expression or your voice tonation is harsh and hard, the person knows that, oh, this my brother, my sister is upset. So it means that it is not what you say, it is your expression, your non-verbal. So 70 to 80% of our communication is non-verbal. So it means that people respond to your communication effectively. People understand what you are saying when they see how you are saying the things you are saying. So the non-verbal communication forms the 80%, 70 to 80%. So these are the major parts for your non-verbal as a communicator: your body language, your facial expression, your voice tonation, your kind spare, the space between you and your audience, silence. Haptics have to do with touch, clothes, and time. This forms a lot of information and impression about you. Now, when your positioning of your body structure determines how people rate your ability to deliver what you want to deliver. That is human being for you. Your facial expression also has a way of connecting people to you or dispelling people from you. Now, if you are into business and you are always frowning, you discover that people don't want to come and patronize you because nobody wants to break a hard nut. So your facial expression, especially when you are communicating, you must put on a brightened face. You must ensure that people see excitement in your face. People see, it's not you come there, you start saying, I didn't prepare, I'm sorry, I was just told to come and take this session. Please don't be offended in case I have mistake. You are already giving them reasons not to listen to you. Nobody wants to know that. Nobody wants to know your background story. All they are there for is to listen and get value for their time. Your voice. You must learn how to tune your voice according to your audience. If you get yourself into the banking hall, it's not the way you talk in a banking hall, especially in West Africa. It's not the way you talk in a banking hall, you talk in the market. For some of us Africans, when we are receiving calls, uh, our 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 fellow community people, Europeans, they feel that we are shouting. They feel that we are too aggressive. So your voice projection matters. So if you are talking to people that are far from, you should project your voice, because as you project your voice, it shows that you value them. Not that you are talking, people are straining to hear you. It shows that you don't really value what you are giving. Kind spare the space. I do this a lot. Sometimes you go to a church to go and minister, to go and teach or preach. You discover that you are like 30 meters away from your audience. Let's say it's an audience of 10 persons, and you are 30 meters away. I will just plead with my host, please, can I move your pulpit closer? Because number one, sometimes they may not have public address system. So why will I be shouting to an audience I know who can barely hear me? So I go close to them. So sometimes you also have to understand that you don't have to be too close. If you are talking to somebody for the first time, don't go too close to the person, because you must give somebody space. Silence is also a way to show that people listen or people are not listening. Haptics. You must be careful how you touch people when you are talking. And clothing, like we said, and your time. Time. If you come late to meeting, you have already communicated who you are, especially when it becomes a constant behavior, a constant character. So people can just say that sister that normally comes late, because they have used the time or your punctuality to determine or to explain your personality. So, so, so you understand that communication, it's it's always communication is always much more than how people interpret what you are doing. So when you tell people you are going to have a meeting for 2 hours and you end up 2 hours 30 minutes, the first time they may agree with you. But when it becomes a routine, a norm with you, they keep saying that person doesn't keep to time. Or you are teaching, you are saying, I will end in 5 minutes time. 15 minutes, you are still there. 20 minutes, you are still there. You are telling them 2 minutes time, 30 seconds time, and you are taking out time. You are communicating something about your character and about your nature. People can easily assume they know what you are saying. Learn to make yourself clear. All right. Okay. Someone tells you, I'll be with you in 20 seconds. It's not possible. So if you are using that as a phrase of I'll be with you in a jiffy, in a short while, please be clear about it. Because people can assume that you said 20 seconds. There are people that will write it down. Someone is telling you, I'll be with you in 15 minutes time. You look at your time, it's 7:15. Then you are saying, so by 7:30, I want to prove if this person is actually a trustworthy person. And what the person said 15 minutes time can take the person 30 minutes or 1 hour. So you must be sure that you are not just making statements out of proportion. Be very clear. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisee. You know the story in the Bible. If not that Jesus valued feedback, the disciples would have taught something else. What happened there was that Jesus told his disciples and said, beware of the leaven of the Pharisee. When he told them, the disciples began to discuss among themselves. They began to say that Jesus said we should not eat yeast, eat bread with yeast. And Jesus had to call back and tell them, that's not what I meant. And Jesus said to them, I was only warning you to beware of the doctrine and the teachings of the Pharisee. So be warned. May you not misinterpret your message. So you see, sometimes we say things and people take it out of context. I think we have seen that happen in our own individual lives. And what happened the first day we started also showed to us that there is always misinterpretation. So intentional communication is verbal and unintentional is non-verbal. So when you are communicating, you are intentional. You know what you want to say. But people, there are things you communicate unintentionally, which is your non-verbal, how you say it. So when you are communicating, be conscious of how you move your body. Be conscious of it. So let's look at some causes of communication breakdown. Now, communication breakdown are in different strata. All right. Like we said, the words used, your vocabulary could create reasons why people should not listen to you or why people will not be willing to want to listen to you. Also, filters. What are filters? Filters are actually your previous knowledge. Filters are your belief. Filters are your feeling or your consequential feeling, as I put it here. I call it the ABCD. Filters are those things that you have concluded in your mind that this is what it is. So filters are those defense you have put around a message, a topic. As Christians, we all have our filters. So the moment somebody is saying something out of our interest, we block them in our mind. So sometimes when you go on social media, there are some messages you see, you just screw because you don't want to even listen. There are some persons you see, you don't just want to hear what they are saying, even though you know they are preaching, because that is a filter. That's an example of a filter. So people also have that. So filters are sometimes orchestrated by the devil, like in 2 Corinthians 4:4. It said that the God of this world has blinded the minds of the people. That is in the area of the gospel. Now, a leader or a leader must be an effective communicator and carries the anointing to deliver the vision. So if you are not effective, you discover that you'll be speaking, people will not understand. So when you're talking about spirituality, you need the knowledge to communicate. You need the wisdom, like Solomon asked, Lord, give me wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So we're talking about filters. Filters are obstacles that either distort or affect the meaning intended. So there are reasons why people do not understand us. Number one, there is interest. Interest. When you are interested in soccer or basketball, when you are interested in prayers, and someone is teaching you about finances, it can create an obstacle. It can create an uneasiness in you. When you came to church and you were told it's a prayer meeting, and you got there, they started doing Bible study, it can create an obstacle for you to listen or learn the scripture. So sometimes people's interest is one of the ways you break into their hearts. So when you are having a function, all right, you must understand the interest. Number two, experiences. Like I said, if you have ever experienced probably a preacher or a prophet has lied to you before and has taken your money. So when somebody else comes and tells you, I'm a prophet of God, what happened? Because of your previous experience, you say, no, 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 no. Please, I don't want to receive any prophecy. The last time I received a prophecy, it landed me into problem. Now your experience now is now acting as a barrier, as an obstacle. So in some cases, you may not even urge the prophet, but you just blank your mind. So there are people you will find in your congregation, in your audience, when you are ministering to them, whether spiritual matters or emotional issues, there is always an experience that can hinder them. Felt need, like we said, which is also like interest. Someone is hungry. You are telling them there's job somewhere. They wouldn't listen to that until they get what they need, which is their felt need. All right. Culture can also be an hindrance. All right, can also hinder. So for some of us, when they see you as a black colored person, the white colored people will not want to listen to you. They'll think you are not intelligent enough. All right, but culture can also create a barrier. Age, some people feel they are older than you, they can't be listening to someone they are older than. That can be a barrier. Sex, right? Some people feel women. In short, I read one article that women who preaches and all that, they are doing the wrong thing and all that. Now, some people can have that kind of filter. When you're a woman, you want to preach the gospel, or you have a challenge, you want to tell them Jesus is Lord, they will tell you, go and fix your life first. Worldview perception. People have different perception about you. So that will hinder them from listening to you. Education. Some people look at your educational background, they'll say this person does not have what it takes. So I don't need to listen to this person. Knowledge, emotions. See, all of these things are there. In our public speaking week, by God's special grace, we are going to find a way to see how to break through filters. In short, in public speaking, the assignment is based on how to break into filters so that people can listen to you even when they don't want to listen to you. So meaning is personal because of different filters. Hence, there is need to negotiate meaning. What am I saying with this? It means that Charles, when I use the word Charles could mean Prince Charles to somebody else. Charles could mean Charles Ferguson to someone else. Both of them are prominent Charles. One is Charles Ferguson, or I think Alex Ferguson. All right, let me use that name as a popular name. Now, one can interpret Charles to be Prince Charles, and the other person can say Charles, my elder brother. So it means that meaning is personal. I don't know if somebody's getting what I'm trying to say. So when I use a word, that word can mean different things to different people in the same audience. So I cannot generalize to say Charles. So if I'm going to talk about Charles, I should reduce the risk of giving people opportunity to misinterpret it. I can either say Charles, Prince Charles of United Kingdom, or Charles, my eldest brother, or Charles, my pastor, or Charles, my bosom friend, so that people will not start thinking, I know the Charles is talking about. They leave the meeting. He was mentioning that Charles. It is Charles that is the other brother. It is Prince Charles. Argument has started. But if I understand that meaning is personal, then it shows that my communication will be more effective. So communication, in summary, is what is heard, understood, not what is said. Communication, all right, I say this again, is what is heard and understood. It is not just what you say. To understand is to know the meaning, language, signs used. To understand is to understand the meaning, the language that is used. So when I say church, what do I mean? So understanding is not cheap. It's a serious work. In communication, words are very important because it has the potential of bringing life and death. Scripture says death and life are in the power of the tongue. Now, when the Bible talks about death and life, it's talking about how powerful communication can be. Thank you. Now, it shows that how powerful communication can be. So when you read Proverbs 24:3, Isaiah 11:2, you will understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, today we want to break into another structure that I call the 7 C's of communication. For you to be effective, which is our goal here, there are 7 C's we'll look at before we go on a short break. Number one, considerate. Anytime you come before an audience, please, when I use the word audience, don't always think of 5,000, 2,000. An audience could be one person. An audience, as I'm speaking now, you are my audience. And as I'm speaking to you, I also have an understanding that this uh, tape is recorded, so it will be put on YouTube. So the global world is my audience. So I shouldn't just be talking only to you. I understand that the global world can also listen to this teaching. So I should be considerate. I should consider my audience. All right. So when I'm giving examples, I should try to use examples that my audience can identify with without struggling. So if I'm speaking to children, I should be able to consider the examples I should use, because it's examples that I use that determines, that enhance their knowledge, that enhance their understanding of what I'm talking about. Then another thing you must also be considerate of is to be concrete. What does it mean to be concrete? To be concrete is to be able to establish your point clearly. Don't scatter thoughts. Some people start with a talk, before you know, they have gone around 7 talk. Someone says, I'm here to come and ask you for Bible, but not actually Bible. I also saw somebody somewhere. I felt I should help you tell this. I felt this. At the end of the day, it's scattered. It's not concrete. So if you are there for 3 things, itemize them. So I'm here to ask you for Bible. I'm here to confirm if you were the one that I saw yesterday. I'm here to also let you know that I'm happy for what you have done. That is a concrete communication. That's why in communication, you must have what we call the introduction, body, and conclusion. If not, your thought will not be concrete, and people cannot take anything out of your class because you are not logical, you are not concrete. Then be concise. To be concise is also very crucial in communication. All right. You don't give too much information at a particular time. It's trying to summarize. All right. Like I spoke with some of my leaders in church. I said, when you are teaching, you don't need too many Bible verses, because the more Bible verses you bring in, the more elaborate your teaching will be. But if you stay on few Bible verses, all you need is to focus on the point you want to communicate and just get few verses that support it. Because in teaching, the people have opportunity to ask questions. There you can elaborate. So don't try to elaborate your teaching in one sitting. So you have to be concise when you are communicating, no matter how it is, whether it's a field work, whether it's academic, whether it's ministry, you have to try to be concise. Then be cautious. Be cautious. You see, when you are arrogant, people don't listen to you. Even though you have what will save them, they will not care. Culture, to be cautious is one of the ways that people connect to you. So to be cautious doesn't mean you have to kneel down to greet your audience. To be cautious is to use words. To be cautious means to be careful of the words you use. Don't say Nigerians are this, Ghanaians are this, Liberians are this. Thank God for your life. You are not like them. No, 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 no. That word is not accepted. Or somebody is in your class and you are saying that uh, that fat man with big tummy, you with big tummy. No, 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 no. You are not cautious. Find something, something encouraging to describe people. So look for the right phrase, look for the right choice of words when you are communicating. Be clear. Clarity is crucial. If you want to say telephone, please, in any way you want to say it, be clear. Let people know that this is what you are saying, not a telephone. No, no, no. Telephone or handset. You see, clarity, you must be conscious. So the more you practice, the more you see how important these things become to you. Clarity is crucial because these are the communication blocks that will help you to be effective, complete, make complete statements. Don't start with a sentence and end with another idea. Like we say, a sentence is one idea. Full stop means that idea has come to an end. So you start another sentence. So don't be that individual who starts and do not complete. You start and you don't complete. If you are starting a thought, ensure that that thought is completed. When you are like that, there's possibility that people want to listen to you and they will enjoy listening to you. Try to be correct in your information. Don't be too much in a hurry. Okay. Don't say you give a statistics, I don't know the correct answer, maybe, or you, let's say you are a preacher, you say somewhere in the Bible, I think you quote John 3:16, Jesus came from above. You say, oh, sorry, it's not John 3:16. All right. Then you quote another Bible verse. Oh, sorry, it's not that one. Please, there's no need quoting it. Just say somewhere in the Bible, Jesus did this, and stop there. It's not compulsory that you must quote. If you don't have the ability to actually remember the Bible verses, what matters is that people understand what you are saying. It's not in the quotation. So those who wants to go find out if what you said is true, they will go to the Bible and start looking for and asking people, where did Jesus turn water to wine? Is it John or Matthew or whatever? But don't try to quote. So try to be correct in your communication. If you are giving statistics, try to be correct. And this is something that is crucial to every one of us as communicators. Because you are going to be having presentations. So probably you will start practicing more when we start our presentation. So there is a do's in communication. To add to what has been said, be precise, use precise, memorable, and powerful words. So look for few words that carries the intended meaning. Support your words with visual aids. What is visual aids? Having materials or substance that can show the people what you are saying. Give examples. All right. Like I tell you, um, yesterday was a very rainy day. For example, look at what happened. Then those examples will help people to understand, even though they didn't hear clearly that I said yesterday was a rainy day. But for example, a vehicle got drowned inside the drainage because of the flood. So those examples will help people to understand that I was talking about a very heavy rainy day. So eye contact, like we said before, and maintain eye active listening. As a communicator, you should listen to people. Like we said, listen to people. There are some things you listen to that is not said by words. By mere observing, you are listening. Paraphrase. We talked about that before. Paraphrasing is crucial. So when you are communicating, don't try to start all over again. Try to summarize the main points and communicate it, especially when you have laid the appropriate foundation. Keys, keep it short and simple. Communicators are brief. Communicators can communicate a whole lot in few minutes. All right. So it is not about the longevity of time. It's about keeping it short. Avoid interrupting. All right. Appropriate facial expressions and exhibit affirmative head nods. So when people are talking to you, show that you are listening by nodding your head and sometimes by smiling or by sometimes by helping them see that you do not believe in what they are saying or you are not clear. So your expressions is one of the things that helps you to be effective in communication. The don'ts. Don't in communication. Do not use technical terms and terminologies. All right. You need to practice this. Don't try to use words you have not mastered. All right. Look for words that you are familiar with. Because when you're using technical terms that you are not familiar with, it can mess you up. All right. You may even forget it because it's not part of your vocabulary. It can become difficult for you to pronounce it. So don't try to impress people by looking for big grammar. Your goal is that you want people to understand what is in your heart. Do not speak too fast or too slow. Too fast or too slow. Try to maintain a pace that even a fast person will listen, and even a slow person can actually connect. Do not speak in an audible surroundings as you won't be heard. What that means is that anywhere there are noise, all right, you don't need to start straining your voice. You can calm down and find a way to calm the audible surroundings, inaudible surroundings as you won't be heard. All right. Do not assume that everybody understands you. All right. Do not assume. Assumption, they say, is the cheapest form of knowledge. So do not interrupt your patient or your client, because they may have some exceptions to this rule. Sometimes people talk for a while. You have to just allow them talk and listen to them. And eventually, especially in counseling, your listening is one of the ways you actually um, help them out of their predicament. Before communicating, ask yourself, what is the main purpose and aim? Ask yourself the question, why do I want to communicate? Who will receive it? Who are the people? What is the likely attitude of the listener? Are they happy with this subject? Now, you also ask yourself, how much does he or my audience need to know? Do I need to give them everything? You don't need to give them what they already know. For example, are there areas they need to know that I think will be helpful to them? Focus on that. So if they have questions in other area, you cannot help them out. But you need to look at the primary goal that will help them. Then ask yourself another question. Is my timing right? Is this the right time to talk about this subject? Then you also ask yourself another question. What is the main subject? What is the main subject? There's a main purpose and there's also a main subject. Now, main purpose and aim is what you want to achieve. The main subject could be, if you are invited to come and preach in a program, please know the main subject. Don't go and be forming your own topic. I know some preachers are good at that, to try to change the topic and try to do something different from what they have been asked to do. The persons that give you the opportunity to do that has something in mind that God or that the business or the firm wants to achieve. So if they ask you to come and talk on stress management, don't go into business marketing because that's what you like. No, even though you want to bring business marketing into it, but know the main subject. Are the major points clear? You will talk about this. I think we'll talk about this later on. Then, is there any ambiguity? Ambiguity is, are there things you have on your note that are not clear? Are there things that you have on your note, or things you intend to say that may be miscommunicated or misinterpreted? You check out those things, and it will help you to basically be effective in your communication. So I will stop here. So we'll take a break. Thank you for listening.